Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you think about getting older. We've all been kind of conditioned to believe that aging is something that just abruptly happens later in life. But the truth is, aging doesn't start when you turn gray, and it certainly doesn't start when you get your first wrinkles. It's actually happening in your cells right now. It is this incredibly slow, quiet, completely invisible process.
So let's kick things off with a pretty surprising question. If aging doesn't start in your golden years, when does that invisible clock actually start ticking? When do the underlying mechanisms of your body begin to shift gears? Well, the answer is a lot earlier than you might think, and understanding this timeline is absolutely crucial for taking control of your long-term health.
In this explainer, we'll trace this steady process decade by decade. We'll be looking at the invisible start of aging, the 30s metabolic slowdown, fortifying bones in your 40s, trading speed for wisdom in your 50s, and keeping moving in your 60s and beyond.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the invisible start of aging.
On the surface, your early 20s feel like your absolute physical peak. It's a time when your skin looks fantastic, your energy is completely boundless, and frankly, you feel invincible. But beneath the surface, right down at the cellular level, a quiet shift is already underway. After peaking in your early 20s, your production of collagen starts dropping by about 1% every single year. And why does this matter? Well, collagen is the structural protein that is literally holding you together. It's the very thing keeping your joints cushioned and your skin firm. You might not see the effects in the mirror right away, but for sure, that internal clock has officially started ticking.
And honestly, this is exactly why your 20s are the critical window for prevention. You don't need some massive, complicated intervention here. Just building 3 really simple habits now, daily sunscreen, proper hydration, and a basic skincare routine, while your collagen levels are still relatively high, is going to save you from having to do some seriously heavy damage control later on.
Moving right along to section 2, the 30s metabolic slowdown. Welcome to the era where, seemingly out of nowhere, your clothes just might start fitting a little differently than they used to. When you look at the metabolism of your 20s, which for a lot of us effortlessly burns calories, and compare it to the reality of your 30s, things change. That exact same meal you used to eat in your 20s suddenly affects your weight differently. And the reason? Your metabolism naturally dips by 2 to 3% per decade starting in your 30s.
Well, the culprit behind that metabolic dip is pretty straightforward. You naturally start losing small amounts of muscle mass. And remember, muscle tissue is highly metabolic. It burns significantly more calories than fat does, even when you are literally just sitting on the couch doing nothing. So the secret here isn't to just drastically eat less and starve yourself. The real fix is to stay active and intentionally keep strength training in the picture to rebuild and maintain that muscle mass. You want to keep the muscle that used to burn those calories for you for free.
Now for section 3, fortifying bones in your 40s.
Structurally, a major turning point hits right around now. Bone density actually peaks around age 30. But the biological trigger of dropping estrogen, especially for women approaching perimenopause, dramatically accelerates bone loss. The overall effect is a much more fragile skeletal frame. But the proven solution for this is weight-bearing resistance training. This is exactly why doctors push resistance training so hard at this stage in life. It's truly one of the absolute only proven ways to slow that bone density loss and keep your frame rock solid for the decades ahead.
Next up, section 4, 50s, trading speed for wisdom.
I've got to say, this is absolutely my favorite part of the data, because we get to completely debunk this really unfair myth about cognitive decline. People always joke about losing their minds as they age, but the reality is fascinating. While your raw processing speed might slow down just a tiny bit, your high-level cognitive functions, your vocabulary, pattern recognition, and deep decision-making skills, they actually keep improving throughout your 50s. You're essentially walking around with a massive, highly optimized database of lived experience.
Neuroscientists use this fantastic framing for this. They call it a trade-off, not a decline. It perfectly explains that your brain isn't fundamentally failing or fading away at all. You might think just a fraction of a second slower, but because of that enhanced pattern recognition and vocabulary, you are thinking a lot smarter. It is literally the scientific definition of what we call wisdom.
Which brings us to section 5, 60s and beyond. Keep moving.
Now, this is arguably the most encouraging piece of data we have. Yes, it's absolutely true that inactive people lose muscle mass much faster in their 60s, but it's amazing to see that consistently active people can retain up to a staggering 80% of their strength. That leaves only a 20% loss, which is incredibly manageable. It's really all about what you do, not how many birthdays you've had.
It beautifully proves one simple truth. A number on a birth certificate does not dictate your vitality. Your daily movement does. Whether it's walking, swimming, lifting weights, or even just gardening, staying in motion signals to your body that it still needs to maintain that muscle and strength.
So, to quickly recap our journey today. In your 20s, collagen fades quietly, making your skin and joint habits vital. In your 30s, metabolism naturally slows down, requiring you to maintain muscle. In your 40s, dropping hormones mean your bones desperately need resistance training. In your 50s, your brain powerfully trades speed for deep wisdom. And in your 60s and beyond, movement entirely dictates your strength. Aging is never one dramatic, overnight moment. It's this slow, steady process happening in every cell that you have the power to proactively manage at every single stage of the game.
I want to leave you with a final thought. Take a look back at the journey we just went on, drop into the comments, and tell me which decade surprised you the most. Was it the unseen collagen drop in the 20s, or maybe that brilliant brain upgrade in the 50s? Let me know below. And hey, don't forget to subscribe as we break down more fascinating explanations of what's happening inside your body every single week.